What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we'll be checking out one of my longtime favorites. This game is called Delta V Rings of Saturn. This is a game I enjoyed tremendously. So I'm like a little bit of a fanboy of this game. I have a bit of a bias going into this video because I like the really weird indie stuff, like the really heavy sim indie stuff, and that's exactly what this is. This is a game that's made by a guy who really likes hard sci-fi, things that are grounded in realism. And this is a game where it is the dystopian future, like 150 years from now, where mankind has gone to the stars, and there's a corporation that handles all of the mining around the rings of Saturn. And there are people that are outcast from society, or maybe criminals, or maybe they just have nothing to lose, and they become space miners in the ring. A hard, dangerous, very unreliable life. And this is a game about starting out with a crappy little tugboat that can barely pull in a rock, and slowly moving your way on up to like cruisers and things that can strip mine entire sectors by themselves. The game is in early access, but it has been in development for a couple of years, so there's definitely some content in here to consume. We covered the game about a year ago, little over a year ago, I think, although I'd have to check the dates on that. And that time around, I showed you how to play from the beginning of the game. This time, we're jumping in a little bit further, but if after watching this, you wanted to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description that you can check out. And then on top of that, I will be streaming this game, either the day after or the day of this video goes live. If it goes live on, like, Monday Pacific time, then I'll probably stream it on Tuesday. But anyways, I will be streaming the game, so definitely check down there for the link for that, just in case you wanted to see the process of how you become a space miner. On top of that, this game is completely free right now if you go download the demo, because the developer said that, like, when the Ukraine war kicked off, he wanted to give the game free to Ukrainians, but there was no method to do that, so he just made it globally free to everyone. And that's a tremendously generous thing to do when a game is your meal ticket. And since he's not really the kind of guy that's gonna toot his own horn, I'm gonna go ahead and do it for him and say that this is definitely a developer worth supporting. This is the Shining Secret. It is my current ship. I didn't name it. It named itself. All of the names in this game are procedurally generated. My last ship was the Beryllium Bastard, which I really wanted to show to you guys, but ultimately I had to sell it so that I could get money together to retrofit and check out my new ship. If we're lucky, it'll still be, yeah, there it is right there. The poor little Beryllium Bastard. It served me well. Unfortunately, it had to go because I needed to get a better ship that could process more rocks and make more monies. Let's go ahead and launch a ring dive, and I'll get you into the pilot seat and kind of teach you how to play this game. The first thing is when you launch a ring dive, you got to decide how far into the game you want to go. As of right now, I don't know if the Kepler gap is crossable. I don't know if that's a thing that's gonna be a thing later on in development, but for right now, from what I've heard, you can't cross the Kepler gap. Like, you can get, like, most of the way across it, and then it just takes you back to the station, basically, and initiates a docking protocol. But for right now, we're probably gonna want to aim for this strip of thick rocks right here. You can pay money to dive further on into the rings, so that you can get there faster, or you can just handle the transit yourself, which is exactly what I'm gonna do. Every single time you launch on out, you get this cool animation right here that'll play, that shows your ship like unhitching and being moved with like a giant actuator arm, I guess would be what that is. It's kind of like an actuator arm. It's similar in concept to an actuator arm. And once we're into the rings, I've actually got some new toys to play around with, things that I actually don't exactly know what they do. I'll give you a brief treatise on how to fly your ship, because this game can be very crunchy and kind of difficult to figure out for new players. Hopefully that'll get you ready for your job as a space miner. And then from there, we're just going to process some rocks. This is a low-key game. The best thing that I could probably describe it as is if you've ever played like Power Wash Simulator, or you've played something like House Flipper, or you've played Viscera Cleanup Detail. This game is a lot like that. This is a game that's about the simple satisfaction of annihilating an entire area of rocks by yourself, and then making a bunch of money to buy upgrades so that you can incrementally do it a little bit better next time. And then emergent things happen while you're out in the ring. So you may be asking yourself, why are you flipping the ship around? Well, you should always dive into the rings backwards. So the game controls very simply. You can take manual control with the WASD, Q, and E. WASD, Q, and E, or the arrow keys, and you'll probably want to use all of those. And then the game actually supports full mouse control as well. You can click and drag your intended vector right here, and it will shift and adjust. You can right click on the ring and it'll rotate the ship around. But why am I diving backwards into the rings right now? Well, because my ship is basically a thruster with a cargo hold attached to it. It doesn't do a great job at rotating, or shifting vectors while facing forward. So really, if I get in over my head, I'm not going to be able to shift the way that my ship is moving. Like if I'm about to impact with something, if I'm facing forward, because the big thruster on the back is all that I have, and it doesn't have like an intake to suck backwards. And so anyways, I fly into the rings backwards so that if I get myself into a bad situation, I can hard thrust forwards relative to the direction that I'm moving, and it'll get me out of it. And this is kind of ring diving 101. While we're floating on into the rings, because I've got to be like 25 kilometers into the rings for it to be worth mining anyways, in order to make enough money to take home to make this trip worth it. We've got a bit of transit time in front of us, so let's talk about the UI. Up in the top left-hand corner of the screen, you can see my LiDAR. If you've never used a LiDAR before, a LiDAR is basically a radar that's used for perspectiveless flight, meaning that you don't have a point of reference. You don't have something like the horizon. You don't have like the sun or like the moon or anything else, and really all that it does is relay perspective to the whole thing. So as I'm flying backwards right now, everything on the LiDAR that's blue is coming towards me. Everything on the LiDAR that's red is going away from me. If you see those kind of like topographic lines on the LiDAR right there, that's an aftermarket thing that I've added to my LiDAR. It's a gravimetric scanner, which basically tells you the specific gravity of stones that are in the area. And so the darker red you see in the topographic lines, the better the rocks we are that we're gonna find in order to mine. Underneath that, you've got all my autopilot settings. It'll basically just tell you your velocity and your bearing and all that kind of stuff. And then of course down in the bottom left, you've got our cargo hold, which is actually being scanned right now by a drone to let us know how full it is. Those little green lines you see at the top that cross on over, those are aftermarket baffles that I've put inside my cargo hold because there is no gravity in the cargo hold. So if I decelerate while my cargo bay is open too fast while trying to suck in another rock, it's perfectly possible to regurgitate a bunch of your cargo and then have to collect it again. Top right hand corner, you've got the visual feed. That's the company's camera that's watching us right now relative to the rings and where we are at. Next to that, you've got the onboard maintenance system that's got all of our ship parts. They do take damage independently, and they can all be tuned, actually. Every single part on the ship, you can misalign it. You can basically, so what you can do here is you can choke any of these parts, which will give less thrust. You can actually minimize wear. However, like weird things will happen if you let the wear get too low, and then how misaligned all these thrusters are. Other stuff like your fuel rods and whatnot also have those things. If you have a mechanic on board, which I do, I have an engineering officer on board, they can shift these things further if something goes wrong in order to correct potential faults that may come up due to impacts or getting shot by pirates. That's right, there is combat in this game. I'll splice in some combat a little bit later from when I was playing on my own because combat is pretty rare in this title. You don't see it very often, but it does happen. But yeah, it's a list of our components, and then all of those components can be tuned in a number of different ways in order to make up for the fact that they might be damaged or malfunctioning. Underneath that, you've got the most important window that you're going to need as a new pilot. So this is the information that's like the money information right here because it explains a lot of the context of the game. We've got our propellant. Our propellant is how much dry fuel we still have left. We have a chemical thruster that basically lights dry fuel on fire in order to move the ship around. Underneath that, we have our transit reserve. That's how much fuel we have, how much fuel we need to have left in order to get back to the station in a timely way. As we get closer to that transit reserve with our total fuel supply, you'll notice that the transit time goes up. Why do you care about the transit time? Well, your crew are paid by the week, and so the transit time is going to go up like exponentially based on how little fuel you have. That means if you don't want to be paying your crew to sit around reading 50 Shades of Grey and making the interior of the hull completely radioactive to a blacklight, you probably want to get back in a timely fashion. Otherwise, you're basically just paying them to drink coffee, fart, and make the place smell. Underneath that, you've got your delta V. We could get into like P equals MV, and we could get into impulse and all the physics of what delta V is. But delta V can be conceptualized where the lower your delta V is, the less your ship controls well. Your ship gets clunkier the lower that number is, and the higher it is, the more maneuverable your ship is. This matters because as we take on board cargo and whatnot, our ship is going to get heavier. And so you really, really want to keep an eye on your delta V. Otherwise, ultimately, your ship is going to be like flying a brick. It's going to be completely and totally impossible to get it to do anything that you want it to do at a certain point. And so delta V is a good thing to keep an eye on. Mass driver ammo, pretty simple. That's just bullets for the mass driver if you have one. I don't have a mass driver, so it's not really going to be a concern. But if we did, that's where our ammo would be at. Nano drone components, I do have those. I have nano drones on here. Nano drones, they're responsible for slowing down and moving rocks so that I don't have to chase them all over the galaxy. They make my life easier. And then, of course, we've got our total ship mass underneath that. The power system is pretty simple. Everything on your ship draws power. You have an ultra capacitor and a reactor that supply that. And so anyways, unless there's a problem, you don't really need to pay attention to the power draw. It's not going to be that relevant. And then down in the bottom right, you've got a conceptualized HUD that lets you know which thrusters are firing, how much battery you have left, the current temperature of your reactor, because you don't want that to get too hot or too cold. I'll explain why a little bit later. We may want to accelerate out of this a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Let's slow it down to make sure we don't hit anything. Perfect. And that's pretty much the UI as of right now. I'm going to keep on floating until we get to an area that I feel like is worth harvesting, and then I'll show you the mining process. To the southeast, I think I see our moneymaker spot. So let's go ahead and see if we can wiggle our way into a win here. I'm going to try to shoot the gap on all these little asteroids right here. I think I should be okay. I don't know if I want to take it like left or if I want to take it right, though. We'll try that right there. Yeah, we've got ourselves a nice little density field right here. Okay, let's get on into it, and then we will get to work. Now, I'm not entirely sure. I've got a newly installed mining laser, but I'm not sure if it's going to work on this hull. I'm a little bit concerned about it. I think it may not have been the best choice just because of the shape of the hull. We will see. But this looks like a good enough spot. Let's go ahead, and we'll fire the thruster in order to get ourselves situated. And we need to start mining rocks. So you can click on anything. The game does have like an autopilot. Oh, the laser is invisible. Interesting. Okay. We've got 5,000 kilograms of platinum right there. That's pretty good. That's a solid first rock right there. I'm going to go ahead and grab it. I'm going to go ahead and open up my cargo bay with the enter key, and we're just going to give it a little bit of thrust forward, and we've got ourselves 5,000 kilograms of platinum as our first catch. The identification process is happening as a result of the geologist that I have on board. He basically scans all the little chunks and whatnot in order to make sure they are valuable, not valuable, so on and so forth. The thing that I would like to do, though, is I also have a prospecting companion, which is a drone that will help me out. And so anyways, if I press the 2 key here, boop, you'll hear like a little clunk. And then if I fire backwards thrusters for a second, you'll notice that that little attachment on the front of my ship just came off. That's my mining buddy. I call him Cletus. He goes out and he grabs rocks, and I can actually designate what I want him to pick up through the menu, like what is valuable, what is not valuable. Let me get this camera zoom back out. Ooh, 500 kilograms of beryllium. That's $9,000 we didn't previously have. And my geologist leveled up. You love to see it. This guy right here, we may be able to snatch real quick. Pull me that way? Yeah, I don't want to hit that rock over there. But we got a lot of valuable rocks flying around. We've got 683 kilograms of beryllium right there. I think the mining buddy's going to go ahead and grab that. If you wanted to see, my mining buddy does talk to me. It's a limited AI, so it's not like a sentient AI, but it is a pretty smart AI that can emulate human speech pretty well. But inside of the geologist tab, I can basically set up what do I want my drone to go after. And in fact, I don't have that set up because this is a new ship. So I would like for my mining companion to go after anything that's worth more than $6,000, excluding iron. Because iron is worthless and it weighs too much and it's too hard to get out of here. And so I just rather not deal with it. We need to slow ourselves down. Ooh, a 20,000 beryllium chunk? You love to see it, brother. You love to see it. Let's go get this little guy right here. I'm out to make some money today. Now, does anything interesting happen in this game while you're out in the rings? Yes. There are other miners around. There are other miners around that will try to shake you off your claim or bait you into a fight. There are pirates around that will actively attack you. Those are very, very rare, though, because this isn't like a combat-heavy game. Like, this isn't a game where you should be expecting to go into battle, like, non-stop. Did I run out of mining drones here? Oh, never mind. My mining buddy got it. Nice. Okay, I'll grab this one right here, then. Occasionally, you'll find something weird. So, for example, I found Elon Musk's Tesla that he put out into orbit, and it was worth like 200 grand as like a historical artifact. Other things that I found out here while I was flying around, I found a space station that was being run by an AI, and the AI had gone sentient while sitting in space all by its lonesome for like 100 years, and it just wanted somebody to talk to and to talk about philosophy, and offered to refill my fuel tank if I would just talk to it for a little bit. It was just lonely. Like, things happen out here in the rings that add sort of like a nice emergent layer to the game that I think make it a lot more entertaining. Ooh, 20,000 in beryllium right there. God, I think my mining buddy's going to be doing the vast majority of our winning here today. And those little sparkles you see being thrown out, those are my tug drones. Those are the drones that are responsible for slowing down the albedo of any object that's around me, so that my little mining companion, he can go get it. I wouldn't recommend running the mining companion without the tug drones to slow things down. That's just my advice. Otherwise, he wastes a lot of fuel just sort of like flying around and not actually capturing anything. We got a 12,000. We got a 17,000. I'm going to go ahead and grab this guy right here while my drone does the other part. There we go. And then I'll probably go after this guy right here, too. We are picking up a little bit of speed, which I'm not a huge fan of. Going fast in the rings tends to have consequences, terrifying consequences that can really, really hurt the old paint job. There we go. Okay, we've used up like a quarter of our nano drone components, so we're going to want to pay attention to that. You can press the X key at any time to neutralize your vector. Yeah, we don't want to run into that asteroid right there. That would be a mistake. Go ahead and laser this guy real quick. I have to take over manual control with the laser. I had a microwave before, which does exactly what it sounds like. It basically microwaves the rock until it pops like popcorn, and then you go pick up all the stuff. Ooh, we got like a nice one right there, too. Hopefully the mining buddy gets after it. Yeah, drag those in. Good, 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 good. I'm going to come around, and I'm going to grab this guy right here. Get on in my belly, little rock. Get on in there. But anyways, what does combat look like in this game? Let me show you. So there I was, minding my own business out in the belt, trying to be the best belter that I can. And this dude cruises on by and starts firing guns at my drone. And frankly, I don't take disrespect like that very well. So my drone desperately tried to fight the guy off, but it's just a little tiny baby robot with a little tiny robot baby dog brain, dude. It's not that smart and it's not that good at fighting. So I decided, nah, brother, and I opened up on him right there with the microwaves. Now, the microwaves in this game, they don't deal a lot of damage, but what they do is they generate heat and they make your flesh pop and crackle. And as part of that heat generation process, it's going to shut down the enemy's reactor. And when the enemy's reactor gets shut down, don't mind the fizzle vision, it's because he damaged my sensors when he crashed into me. They explode once their reactor gets too hot. And then you get to claim their little life pod for yourself, and then you can take it back to the station and you get paid a whole bunch of money. Combat is not necessarily the focus of this game, but combat does happen. You will have little conflicts and things with other characters that are floating around the belt, where they want your claim spot and they try to take it, or they might even just be pirates. You never know. But either way, every now and again, somebody wants that smoke. They can't help themselves. And this time they directed that smoke at my little buddy, and I'm not okay with that. Now that you've seen what combat looks like, as you can see, it can get quite explosive. Combat in this game is hyper deadly. Like, there's no other way to really describe it. Like, all it really takes is, what you have to understand is that we're all flying giant nuclear space rigs out here that are very, very temperamental and are not very good at taking damage. They tend to do things like melt down and murder everything in like a huge quadrant when they go down. And so all it takes is one bullet, like one mass driver, one random thing hitting something important, and you can die very, very rapidly. In the case of that pirate, I microwaved the hell out of him until it shut down his reactor. And then once his reactor was shut down, I sat there and I kept on microwaving until the reactor overheated and went into a nuclear explosion. And then I collected his pod, and I took him back to the station, and I turned him in for like $200,000 worth of bounty. Pretty sweet deal if you can manage it. However, I would recommend maybe not engaging in a ton of combat in this game. Combat can be unpredictable, and you are not in like a fighter jet that's supposed to be doing that kind of thing. You are in a mining rig, and while you can make your mining rig better protected than other people's combat rigs just to watch yourself, things tend to go poorly in combat, and it can be very, very, very expensive to repair your components after a particularly bad bout of combat, so keep that in mind. Combat is not the focus of this game. It is quite rare, but when it does happen, you can throw down, and it's usually pretty intense because, you know, losing a ship or having to replace parts is very expensive, and so it's kind of a high-stakes game, which I like about it. All right, so while you were off watching the glory of space naval combat, I've just continued to mine. I don't think my mining buddy is done mining yet. I usually go back when my mining buddy's done so that we can go back in unison like friends. I don't know, dude. Roko's Basilisk makes me think that I should always be nice to AIs. It just seems like a really, really good idea. It's like only a matter of time before like an AI ends up like, you know, going sentient, dude. And I want it to be my friend when that happens because that's way better than the alternative. Let's see here. We will annihilate some more rocks. I like this laser. This swish, swish. Oh, the robot is done. Okay, well, let's see what that beryllium chunk is right there. And maybe we will consider retiring back to Enchilada Station as well. I call it Enchilada Station because it looks like the word enchilada, and frankly, enchiladas are delicious. I'm going to chase this bad boy down. And it's not a very good chunk, unfortunately. I aligned just in case when the geologist identified it, it was a good chunk. 'Twas not a good chunk. And so anyways, get inside my ship. We'll go ahead and pop the brakes over here. I'd like to get out of some of these thicker areas. That's just me personally. In order to get back to the station, we've got to calculate an astrological vector, and it's easier to do if there's not a bunch of floating particulate and rocks around. It just makes life simpler if I'm trying not to get crushed like Indiana Jones, you know? Let's see here. We'll grab you. That was worth like 8,000. You can see the value down here. And so anyways, your geologist, based on his skill level, will identify things faster or slower. And then on top of that, your geologist will also be within windows of accuracy for what a certain rock chunk is worth, based on... Oh, we've got another pilot. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. Could be either or. Let's go ahead and have the autopilot stabilize us on out, and I'm going to kick us on out of here. Who are you? Need help? Our rates are low. What do you do? Seen anything? I could use some spare parts. You guys pick up a lot of gear. We're looking for Sokolovsky's puppy. Did you see him? We had a distress call from that ship, but she went dark before we reached rings. She was in ring A, but we had no luck finding her. Got any clues? We had something on long-range radar, but didn't have time to check it out. You can check it for yourself. Oh, good. So your crew, they have quests that are randomly generated that kind of develop their backstory. And so your crews get more personality as time goes along because they'll be like, hey, Captain, I just found out my sister's sick and she's on this station. When the ring comes back around, do you think we could take a detour and visit her? And then, like, when you go to visit, you know, the station is gone, and now we're looking for that station, trying to figure out what happened to it by asking all the belters what's going on. And so anyways, this lady actually just solved a major quest for me. And what should happen here is on our astrogator, yeah, there should be an anomaly. Go ahead and plot a course. Their ship is currently in the way. I would rather not crash into it. There we go. Let's line up. And as you can see, it's now calculating. Hopefully there's no rocks or anything that get in the way. Sometimes getting to some of these special locations can be a bit of a headache. Come on, give me 100%. Let me have it. There it is. All right. But that's what I like about this game is, like, even mundane stuff like calculating an astrological vector to find a thing you've been looking for can be, like, tremendously risky and scary. Ooh, that's not good. I hear a distress signal. Yeah, that's not a happy sound. Now, you don't look like a Ganymedian. We can't just let you through here. Okay, what do you want? 10 grand is cheaper than the repairs you'll need when I get done with you. 10 grand is like nothing. I'd rather not go into combat right now. My ship is not a combat ship. The ship you saw me fighting with, the Beryllium Bastard was a mean little sucker. And so anyways, there's a pod right there. I see it. Aligning to that pod is going to be a pain in the ass. These pods are really kind of a pain to pick up on a good day, just because of the way that they're shaped. I don't want to hit the pod. I'm trying to be careful and not hit the pod with my laser. There we go. Ooh, we got some tungsten right there. You're going to steal my tungsten, aren't you? You're definitely going to steal my tungsten. What a jerk. You already took 10 grand, man. Now you're out here stealing my tungsten? Oh, he dropped it. Nice. I don't want to shoot that gap. I feel lazy. Let's go ahead and see if we can line up with this escape pod. It should be worth a lot of money anyways, and it may resolve a quest for us. And so we kind of want to be... Smart camera's kind of being a pain right now. There we go. We kind of want to be, like, over here. Unfortunately, I'm overweight with ore, so this is going to be a little bit of a headache to pull off. If my ship was a tad more agile and we weren't laid down with tons and tons of rocks, this would be a lot easier, but alas. So I need to get in a little bit close, and we definitely don't want to bump this thing. I'll tell you that right now. We bump this thing, and it's going to be gone forever, and since it's a storyline pod, I'm kind of like terrified of bumping it. It's got a slight rotation to it, so I may actually try to grab it when it rotates around to face me, I think. Okay, so autopilot's latched on. Our opportunity is coming up here. Kill the thrust a little bit. Wait till it's perfectly aligned. Because we got to get it through our little snoot over here. I think it's aligned enough. Oof. Okay, apparently it's a heavily armored life pod. Can I do anything with the heavily armored life pod? Am I going to get any kind of prompt or anything? Doesn't look like I got a prompt, so we can't talk to the pod until we get it back to the station, I think. I don't hear any other distress signals from around here. The distress signals are like the... It's somebody basically doing Morse code. That's how you know there's a life pod in the area. And so anyways... That's how I knew it was here, and I started looking for it, is because it kind of adds something to the soundtrack. It'll get, like, the normal synth wave will have, like, a boop, 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 along with the beat in the background when there's, like, a life pod around. And then, like, drum kits and whatnot will kick in when there's, like, enemies around. But normally the game has no percussion in its soundtrack. Stuff like that. The game is designed very, very well in that regard, where it's got, like, identifiable things in the soundtrack that key you into, like, something interesting happening. We need to get out of here now, which is the tough part, because there's a lot of rocks around. So I need to calculate an astrological jump back to the station, but I don't know if we have the space to do it. So I'm going to try to kill all these rocks that are out in front of me on that left-hand side of the screen, just so we can maybe get a jump going. Hit the J key, go back to our astrogator, the reptile that I love the most, and let's go back to station. Oh, God. Okay. I am under attack right now. That is concerning. I don't know why this guy is shooting me, but apparently he's shooting me. Let's go ahead and hit him with the laser a little bit. See if we can melt him down a tiny bit. Oh, my engines are dead. This is not good. This is really bad. I'm free-floating right now, and my engines are toast. Oh, God. We're about to hit those rocks right there. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh, Christ. Go ahead and give me manual control. Yeah, we're dead. That's it. We are in really bad shape right now. Please melt. Now, like, some weapons in this game are not effective for combat, so some things are specifically mining tools, and that may be the case here with our laser. I don't use the laser altogether that much, and so I'm not super sure if I'm actually even dealing damage right now. The other possibility is that the laser is a specific weapon where you've got to hit their reactor at the back of their ship, but I'm so out of control right now from getting shot to pieces and having my thrusters down that I can't wheel around him to get there. Like, he got a really good salvo off on me right at the beginning while I was trying to leave and go home. Oh no, they had to come get me for search and recovery. What a pain. I've actually never died in this game before. I'm not sure if he bugged out or what, but he attacked me, even though I paid him off. I don't know, maybe that's what I get for trusting pirates. All right, well, we got took back to the station, so apparently dying is not that big of a deal. Kinda sucks, though. Makes me want to not use anything other than microwaves ever again. But let's sell all of our loot because I've got a bad feeling that we've got a lot of repairs we're going to have to do. Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as it looked, actually. The reactor is going to be the pricey part, but actually I think even with getting annihilated, I'm pretty sure that trip actually was still a net positive. All right, that's fine by me. That's all good. I don't know why he attacked me. It was kind of a mean thing to do, considering I already paid him off. Apparently, I dithered in the area for too long. Either way, we made our money. So what do you do with money? Well, let me explain to you how a ship works. A ship works very, very simply. You have a fuel rod. That fuel rod generates nuclear heat. That heat is filtered into a turbine, which generates electricity. That electricity runs through the ultracapacitor, and that's pretty much how the whole thing works. So every now and again, while you're playing the game and you're going through your various parts, you may actually see like little symbols, like this little temperature right here. That means your reactor is not hot enough. You need a bigger reactor. Or this little electrical symbol right here. That means you're not generating enough electricity to keep that component stable. And so that's how the whole thing functions. As long as you keep in mind that flow chart that I just gave you, heat comes from the fuel rod. That goes to the twin turbine, which generates electricity from excess heat and also fires your engines. And then extra electricity is stored inside the ultracapacitor. You're good to go. You should be able to troubleshoot and figure out which part of your ship needs to be updated or fiddled with in order to get you back up and, like, flying. Oh, it looks like they're spooning right now. They look like a happy couple. The guy in the front is definitely stoked. Look, he's giving, like, he's just holding him around his hips, you know? Just being like, I'm so glad we're back at the station, babe. Let's see. There are different heads-up displays. There are different drones. This is where I got my gravimetric drone I was talking about earlier. You can get autopilots that are snappier and have lower latency so that they calculate better. You can change your cargo bay around and make it bigger, smaller. You can turn your ship into a refinery that actually processes the ore that you're bringing on in into processed ore so that it takes up less space and less weight and gets rid of all the oxygen and all the hydrogen that's in your bay as well. There are batteries. I haven't installed one yet because they're really heavy. There's turbines, obviously. I've got the second best turbine. The game does need more parts and stuff and options. I think that's really... They're getting there, though. Like, they're in, like, the rollout phase of stuff right now with the game because I've noticed in the last year they've put out a bunch of new ships, and I'm guessing all the parts and things are going to come real soon. But anyways, a bigger fuel rod might not be the worst idea. But as you can see, there are some very, very expensive fuel rods on in there. Engines, fairly self-explanatory. The engines basically control your back thrust right here and how hard you can hit it, whereas your RCSs are for rotational vectors and for adjustments. And right now, we've got like one of the better ones in the game. Technically, we could take it up to this ERS. Let's see. It's a nuclear-assisted gimbaled Hall effect. I mean, it does look pretty cool, and it's only 4,000 bucks. I'll take one. Throw it onto the old pile. I like the laser for mining, and I like the mining companion, but I feel like we would have won that fight if I had had double microwaves. Microwaves overheat the enemy's reactor until they shut down. And then you just sit there and keep cooking them, and they can never recover. It's basically a stun lock. It's really, really powerful. The downside is microwaves kind of suck at mining. They take forever. And so I swapped this laser on here because everybody loves space lasers before the video. But now I'm really questioning whether or not I should go back to using the microwaves. You can go to the ship dealer if you wanted some idea of how many ships are in the game. It seems like there's like 7 or 8 ships. The cool thing about this is every single ship in the game has a promotional video right here that you can watch like you're at a Mercedes dealership. Shout out to the developer. If you ever need somebody to be your ship salesman and do like a voiceover for this, hit me up. I'll do it for free fitty because you're a good guy and I like your video game. What do I mean about the developer being a good guy? Well, I mean that he's giving the game away for free right now. Ever since the invasion of Ukraine, he put his game up for free. If you download the demo of this game on Steam right now is actually the full version of the game, which is a tremendously generous thing to do for, people all over the world that may need some kind of entertainment in order to get through the day. He seems very, very generous. He seems very in tune with his community. He's constantly listening to Democracy and whatnot on his Discord and on his Steam forums, and just implementing stuff that people suggest. The game just needs more stuff. It needs more things to fiddle around with, but since the last time I played a year ago, they have added more stuff, and so I look forward to seeing what depth gets added in the future. I think in the case of Delta V Rings of Saturn, you're not only buying one of my favorite space games of all time when you go check it out, or when you go get the full demo, you're also supporting a developer that seems like a pretty kind, empathetic guy, and I think that should be encouraged in this industry. How many developers do that where they're just like, you know what, there's a war on, take my game for free? And, they just leave it that way for, a year. Not too many. And so I have no complaints. I think this game is utterly awesome if you're into kind of mundanity simulators. It's been one of my favorites for quite a long time. I like it a lot. I hope that you will enjoy it as well. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had Delta V Rings of Saturn. Tomorrow, we'll have something else. Thanks for hanging out with me. I gotta go. Bye, folks.